So why am I doing this? I'm starting this podcast because we all have a story and finances play a part in our struggles and successes. If we can learn from the many mistakes many others have made, we can make sure that more of us are successful. Like the quote says, to increase the chances of success, we must increase our failure rate. To be honest, I failed a ton. I will bring people from all walks of life, but mostly service members. If you have a story you would like to share, do not hesitate to reach out. From the go, like and subscribe to this podcast so many others can benefit. All right, guys. So welcome back to the Financial Enabler podcast. I want to bring you guys an episode today on business, right? I've been thinking a lot about business and the value of it and how we lean into it and use it to create wealth, right? And one of the things that I've been thinking about business and leadership is the quote that everything rises and falls on leadership. And as you start thinking about it, right, you guys most of my audience is service members or veterans. And we start thinking about how in the military, we create great leaders, which is true. If not, the Fortune 500 wouldn't be filled of service members. So I want you guys to think about leadership and what it takes to be a good leader, right? A good leader is the game changer. And regardless of how you feel about the position, the first sergeants, the sergeant majors, the moment you have a good first sergeant, sergeant majors, or master chief, game changer. The unit is awesome. So they're key. Having a good leader is key. All right. And I've been thinking about what it takes to be a good leader. And I just had one of the most successful entrepreneurs in modern day mention that the best way of an example for leadership is Jesus and when he washed the feet of his apostles. Now, whether you're Christian or not, that doesn't really matter. The point is, what was he doing? The point is that he was serving people. He was prioritizing serving people. And the more that I dive into it and the more that I study the great leaders, they all do that. They are all able to carve time to care about people, to prioritize people in their teams. They're not just at the front managing. A manager doesn't make a good leader. So I want you guys to think about that thought. Look at the people that are around you that you admire. And I'm willing to bet that they have done something for you directly. And they cared about you and they prioritized you, right? So when a leader is able to do that, when you have the trust to fail, when you have the trust to be recognized, when you have a trust to be treated well beyond a pizza party, when you know that they're going to call out their failures, those things start making a leader, a good leader. And now proficiency and quality of leader are connected, but are not necessary. I'm going to give you an example. Henry Ford was not known for knowing a lot about cars, but he knew a lot of people that knew a lot about cars. So he was a good leader. So he was not proficient in one area. So look at that throughout in our units, right? And obviously, depending on the military unit or in the business, it may be required. And that's why a good leader knows how to prioritize the skills that he is good at. So a good leader will do the things only he can do, and he will delegate all the things that are just becomes menial, right? Or is a task that keeps him from doing the things that he does best. And that's how you start buying back time and you're able to grow a business or improve the unit. The issue a lot of times is as subordinates, we do not want to take on that task. And I'm going to give you guys an example. I had a great leader, an officer that I admired. And oftentimes I chose to do the PowerPoints for our ConOps. And it was only because I was good at it. And I realized I can do these ConOps much faster than a lot of people. So if I was able to do these ConOps faster, my dudes we could train more. We could be more accountable for our gear. We could come up with better plans. We could have more time off. And that had a trickle effect in the unit that was value added. But, and again, at first it was like, man, why am I doing these PowerPoints? And then I was like, dude, you're good at it. Just crush them. So I was able to fly through them. So I realized that at this point, I was allowing him to be able to lead us better, which gave him more face time with the commander, We gave him more time to talk to people, to be leader, and influence that. So think about that, how you can affect your leadership. And as you start realizing how you are able to buy back your time so that you can do what's important, you can find that your team is able to grow faster and move faster, move at speed. All right. And I say that in business because the business is always a dynamic environment, and the military preps us very well for those dynamic environments. It will not make you on its own successful, but it gives you a lot of tools in order to be successful. And I think about it as I'm building my business, as I'm leading a team of 20 plus people and we're growing fast. How do I position myself to have the most impact throughout the team? And we're always looking for people to expand, but it has to be the right people that are committed and dedicated. A lot of people don't have their own commitment, right? Which leads to one thing about service members, that we like leading, but it's also within our left and right lateral limits. I have noticed that there's the few that can stand out and take on and become a leader of themselves and be able to pursue an activity that requires their own self-motivation and guidance, right? Which is moving in the absence of commander's intent, right? Because now you are the commander, right? So service members that are able to do that are wildly successful, because we are able to move and make the decisions, a lot of the wrong decisions, but we're able to make decisions faster, which I'm going to tie that to leadership. The more bad decisions you make, the quicker you can adjust, which allows you to make good decisions. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics I've mentioned in the past, that a torpedo is not always on track. So it requires a negative output, a negative input in order to make a correction. So that's the idea of making decisions faster, right? So think about your leadership and how you want to grow that, and think about it in your family, right? So if you are good at something, doing the dishes, folding clothes, then maybe lean in and take it from your partner, take it from your wife, take it from your husband, and be like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm really good at it. I might not like it, but I'm good at it. Just fly through it, knock it out. Boom, I got you. And that allows your partner to do other things. That is leading in a family, leading in a business, right? And I've been thinking about a lot with this, because we have to grow. We have to get to our goals. We got to have better units, and we got to build wealth. I'm telling you guys, everything comes down to time and money. If you have more money and more time, you can achieve whatever you want. And I'm in a mission to show all of you how we can have more time and money if we're willing to lead ourselves. Now, I'm going to tie it to leading ourselves. I have noticed that service members oftentimes were not good at leading ourselves. So those guys that are phenomenal leaders, but then they have bad relationships. Phenomenal leaders, but have bad finances. Phenomenal leaders, but live a disaster of a life. That's not leading themselves. So that proves that there's cracks in their plan. And I'll say this, I'm one of those. I had my own cracks. I was not leading myself in many ways. And it wasn't until I decided to change that, to say, I'm going to lead myself better than I lead others. I'm a demand of myself more than what I demand of others. And that's when everything changed in my life, right? I decided that if I was going to suggest somebody to do something, you lead by example, but I needed to be living up to that in my own life. I needed to have a much higher standard to myself than I had for others. And do that to yourself. Do a personal assessment of, like, are you leading in a way in your life that people can say, like, dude, you're doing it. That's it. And I assure you guys that if the moment that you start leading yourself, that you are focused in your family, focus on your faith, focus on your fitness. Most of you guys are really good at fitness. Focus on your finance. And you're able to dedicate it the ample time to be successful and lead it and have a good plan with it. I assure you that your life is going to change dramatically. And the impact that you're going to have on the people around you is going to change dramatically. So again, I wanted to bring some of the leadership. It's an important part of finance. It's an important part of the financial plan. Lead yourself, be mindful of your spending, be mindful of your family spending, be mindful of your future savings and savings rates. Because a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to say, you know what, I'm going to take care of my family in the future today. I'm not going to go buy that gun. I'm not going to go buy another backpack. I'm going to get rid of some of the old gear that I don't need, right? Those are simple things that can have a massive effect in your life, right? So again, thank you for coming to the podcast. Start leading yourselves, lean in, and let's do it. Let's get to some incredible life. And it starts with leading yourself and leading your teams. Let's go. This podcast is not financial advice, and it only represents the opinions of those participating. Our goal is to get you to your version of financial independence. Please follow and like on every platform.